Hey everybody, welcome back to Vanland. So traveling in a van is a totally unique experience. It's kind of like having a boat on the land in that it has everything you need, it's totally self-contained, and it takes you places where a traditional vehicle cannot. So I've spent over 10 years involved with camper vans in one way or another, and I've seen a lot of changes over that time, as you can imagine. So I just want to take a little bit of time today and talk to you guys about why I think right now may be the best time ever to get into van life, and to help you answer the question, more importantly, is van life right for you? So when you think of the term van life, some images may come to mind, like a young couple, for instance, traveling around in their van. They're not working all that much, they're just taking pictures of themselves in beautiful places. But in my experience, I've really found that there aren't a lot of people actually living in vans, but there are a lot of people who are getting an extreme amount of value out of their van. So I first wanted to talk to you guys about the three types of people that I have seen really take advantage of van life. Number one is going to be people who really love to travel. So whether it's that young couple or it's a retired couple who wants to go out and see the USA in their van, if you really like to travel and you're going to be on the road, there's definitely no better vehicle to do it than in a van. The second group of people that I see who really take advantage of van life are those who are obsessed with some sort of sport or activity. So whether it be skiing, cycling, biking, surfing, bird watching, visiting national parks, or whatever it is, if you really have an obsession with a certain activity, then certainly having a van is the best way to do it, because you can have all of your things in the van, including those which are needed for your activity, so your bikes, your shoes, your helmets, your gear. It's just a different way to experience your favorite activity that you can't do with any other vehicle. The third group of people who I really see taking advantage of their vans are parents with kids who want to expose their kids to a bunch of different activities. They might go to the ocean one weekend, go to see the grandparents the next weekend. There's trips to Yosemite, there's soccer practice as they get a little bit older. But having a dedicated vehicle to do these things with your family is truly a winning strategy. If one of these groups sounds like you, and maybe you're just starting your research into van life and purchasing a van, then you're definitely on the right track, because for these types of people, there's definitely no better way to travel than in a van. So the main psychological shift that happens when you get a van is that you'll find that now all options are open. You can go in any direction and there are no reservations required. It's like your whole field of view suddenly opens up and you can start to travel based on your intuition rather than some predetermined plan and some time schedule that you have to keep. Kind of all of that goes away and you're just able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. I always say to people, you don't need a plan when you have a van. For me personally, this is my favorite thing about owning a van. The types of activities and experiences that I like to do don't lend themselves very well to pre-planning. If you're a planner, that's great. You can have everything in your van ready to go on the trip when you want to. But if you're like me, you don't necessarily know when you can and can't get away. So first of all, as a business owner, I often have to cancel my weekend plans to attend to the business or one of my clients. So being able to just get away when I do have an opportunity is key. Otherwise, if I had to plan, I just wouldn't go, because I don't have the time to plan and I don't know where I'm going to be and when I'm going to be there. Secondly, I'm always seemingly chasing fresh powder or a good swell coming in for surfing. So really I have to react to whatever Mother Nature is providing that weekend. I've certainly done trips before where I've planned a destination, maybe a ski trip, but basically you're going there on a predetermined date, hoping that the conditions are going to be good, rather than going where the conditions are good when you're in the moment. So this is a scenario that's come up for me many times in the winter. Maybe I want to go skiing and there's going to be some fresh powder, But there's also going to be some waves at the coast, and I have to make a decision where I want to go. So I pull up the map. It looks like everyone else is also heading to the mountains to go skiing, and the traffic is starting to back up, and I don't want to deal with that. So I head to the coast for a day of surfing, make some pasta, spend the night, check the map again, and if the road conditions are better, I'll head up to the mountains and go skiing, maybe stay another night, and then work from the van and get another half day in. So this is just something that you can really only do when you have the spontaneity of owning a van, because without reservations, these things are pretty much impossible. But when you're able to stay in your van, cook in your van, and travel in it, it just gives you that freedom to do whatever you want to do whenever the time is right. So obviously, having a van, you have the three most important things with you, which is a place to sleep, a place to store and prepare food, and then also a place to clean up and change your clothes. So you never have to feel like you have to head back home to freshen up. Wherever you want to go, you've got everything with you. I think a lot of people, including myself, during COVID, had the idea that they would work from the road, travel in a van. That was kind of peak frenzy for people wanting to get into van life. But only now, in the past year or so, with the advent of Starlink satellite internet, can you have a legitimate video conference enabled Wi-Fi connection wherever you are. So as long as you have a view of the sky, you can connect to the internet, and you're always connected even in the most remote places. And this just wasn't the case back in 2020. I remember traveling at that time, and it was all about finding cell phone signals and hooking onto somebody's Wi-Fi internet. But now you can do this all completely mobily without using a ton of power. So this is why right now is one of the best times ever to get into van life. So another reason why I think now might be the best time to get into van life is because it's actually gotten a lot more affordable and you don't have to spend so much time waiting. So back in 2020 to 2022, there were tons of people wanting to get into van life, and that's wonderful. But I can tell you that at that time, it was extremely difficult to find a van, to get into a build shop if you were trying to build a van, and even just to get your hands on products. Everything was on back order. So it was not a lot of fun to build vans or to be involved with the building of a van at that time. And fast forward to today, there's a lot more product availabilities. There's vans on the lot, sometimes at a discount, waiting for you guys to buy one. And also you can find a spot in a build shop in a relatively short amount of time. Having said that, this is just a really good time and a more affordable time to get into van life. And if it's something that you're thinking about and you're getting close to actually making the leap, you guys should check out our free Introduction to Van Building course. There's a link in the description. It goes over everything in the industry that we want to tell you guys to help you start with your planning process and get started on the right foot. We go over all the products, I give you tips and tricks, and again, it's 100% free. Click on the link and sign up for that as soon as you're starting to get close to getting into van life. And speaking of products, this is the third reason why I think now is such a great time to get into this lifestyle. There are so many amazing products for vans. You can really turn a van into a totally comfortable mini house. You have heating systems and air conditioning systems that both run totally off-grid. So no matter where you are, you can be warm or cool if it's hot out. The manufacturers have really developed, and a few years back, a lot of the products that are now available were being made in garages or small shops. And all the manufacturers have evolved to where the product reliability is a lot better, warranties are better, lead time is reduced, all the things that you would expect from a more mature industry. Some of the other products that have really been upgraded that I appreciate are power systems. You can now have your own mini power plant on board a van like this, and it really delivers a ton of power. So if your power goes out at home or you're traveling around, you have enough power for all of the appliances that you need to run air conditioners, etc. It's just that technology has gotten so much better. The last product that I really appreciate are super comfortable mattresses. So one of the goals for me was always to have as good of a night's sleep in the van as I do at home. And with today's comfort mattresses that are custom cut to fit the profile of your van, you can definitely have as good of a night's sleep in your van, sometimes even better than you would have at home. So the fourth reason why now is a really good time to get into van life is because all of the resources that are available to help you on your journey. Phone apps such as HipCamp have made it so much easier to find cool campsites. So HipCamp is like private campsites, kind of like Airbnb for camping. And these are usually smaller campsites that don't have a lot of services on them. So what this means is that you're going to be in a more secluded environment, and the types of people that are going to be there will mostly be self-contained like you are in your van. And they tend to enjoy more of a quiet outdoor experience rather than the typical camping experience at a campground that you would get these days, which is usually a lot of vehicles, a lot of people, and a little bit less nature. Besides HipCamp, you can also check out Harvest Hosts. You do need a subscription, but then this gets you access to places like vineyards, farms, and other large properties where the owners will allow you to come in, reserve via the app, and then park your rig for the night. If you live in an area like I do, where all of the traditional campgrounds are already booked out months in advance, and you want to do a weekend trip, the apps like Harvest Host and HipCamp will get you access to places that weren't available a few years ago. And the final app that I wanted to talk about is called The Dirt. This is also a phone app that really gives you access to all of the camping in your area. So rather than going from sort of one agency to another and seeing what kind of camping they have, The Dirt combines it all into one place, and you can check for campsite availability. You can even snag campsites that people have just canceled at the last minute. It'll give you maps of where you have cell phone service and access to restaurants and so on and so forth. I'm not sponsored by any of these apps. I've just used them on different occasions, and I really found them to be super useful when it comes to finding a place to stay. Reason number 5 why right now is a good time to get into van life is because van trips are now a thing. So something that has emerged from the popularity of van travel over the past few years are organized van trips. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've always kind of enjoyed traveling alone and going off to places where no one else is. But since I've discovered these organized van trips, they've become some of my favorite experiences in my van. Here on the West Coast, we have partnered with Backroad Van Adventures, and they organize trips all over from coastal to mountain. They're mostly back road oriented, but you will spend some time on highways as well. And the organizers do a fantastic job picking out the route, leading the caravan, and most importantly, teaching you how to use your van in the proper way. So you'll learn things like how to use your four-wheel drive, how to air down your tires properly, how to use the correct lighting, how to extract yourself with your winch or help another out who has gotten into a sticky back road situation. But I've spent years around these products, and I didn't truly know how to use them until I went onto one of these trips. So if that sounds interesting to you, check the link in the description. Again, the name of the company is Backroad Van Adventures. They have trips all over the place on the West Coast, and I would highly recommend joining one of them. All right, there you have it, guys. If you're thinking about getting into van life, I really do feel like now is probably the best time that I've ever seen, because vans are absolutely still the best way to travel, especially if you're more on the spontaneous side. The products and availability of everything has gotten a lot better, and prices have gone down. And then finally, all the tools and these trips that are available, they really add to the overall experience. Please leave a comment, guys, if you have any other questions, or let us know if you're thinking about getting into van life. What's holding you back? As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you out there on the road.